Hi there, traders. Welcome to Admiral Markets. My name is Chris. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be taking a look in December at how to find and identify the space on the chart. So we'll continue with that in today's webinar, taking a look at different financial instruments. First of all, starting with Forex, but then we can take a look at other things, some stock indices, CFDs, commodities. Feel free to reach out, ask questions, ask for particular instruments you would like to see, or maybe have some trade ideas, or you're in a trade, or you're wondering about a past trade, feel free to reach out and use the chat to ask me that. Before we take a look at the charts, though, be aware that there's a special coming up with Admiral Markets, or it's actually already available. So just check out admiralmarkets.com and find the banner on the homepage that discusses this more, and just click on the button that leads you to that info. Before we start this webinar, though, be aware that that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. Please visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact the appropriate entity to find out more information if this webinar is suitable for you. Now, with regard to that Christmas special, as I said, admiralmarkets.com, and then use these arrows on the left to right to find a particular banner or page that gives the info. Click on Apply Now, this red button, and you will find more info on that. You can continue to scroll, of course, and you'll see more info about MT5, about DAX, and Supreme Edition, which is an extra plugin with about 60 plus features that are exclusive to Admiral Markets traders. And in the webinars, if you've joined more often, you'll see me use a couple of those, including pivot points, Admiral Keltner, and also the mini terminal. All right, now with regard to this week, this morning I had two trades on the Euro odd and the odd yen. Yesterday I traded Euro CAD and Euro pound. Those yesterday trades didn't go too far, small losses. Euro, odd yen, and Euro odd were winners today. But at this moment, we are a little bit, kind of awaiting some news. There are speeches, or how do you say, not speeches, maybe it's not the right word, but press conferences, or in any case, there's going to be some talk from the central bank, from Mario Draghi, ECB, but also Bank of the RBA from Australia. Tomorrow there's going to be FOMC, by the way, interest rate potential on the dollar in GMT evening time. And Thursday, both euro and pound potential interest rate changes, or at least some decisions they're made Thursday, Friday. So yeah, that's tricky. I think using small time frames, lower time frames could be good to tackle it, because then you can kind of enter and exit hopefully before these events. So that could be one solution. Other solution could be to look at daily candles and see what our daily charts explaining and showing. So those are some ways to tackle that. Now, with regard to the market movement so far, we can take a quick look at the market heat map. I think that's always useful info. So we can take a quick look, and then we'll continue with the charts. And the market heat map, very useful tool, I think. Shows you the movements of these instruments up and down. And here we go. And also from the currencies, if you scroll a little bit further down, you will find the movement versus the range. To the right is the range, and up and down is the movement. You can see pound New Zealand, euro New Zealand, big movements, but also big range. So lots of price volatility and a downtrend. So, but there was not much movement here. Most of the currency pairs, there's a couple, New Zealand and Aussie, that were probably moving the most, as you can see. And we'll scroll lower, and you can see that New Zealand was in the top three. Pound still first, though. All right, but that's because probably pound and euro New Zealand were bigger movers, so they contribute to the euro and pound equation too. So let's take a look now at the charts. All right, there we go. Euro dollar moving lower. So yeah, it didn't get the break to the upside. The key level that I marked in yesterday's Monday video, maybe you saw that on the Admiral Markets technical analysis page, perhaps. Just go to analytics, then click on technical analysis, and on Monday's I update a video. And I was saying that this zone is important because a breakout could see price make a push up to this resistance trend line. It didn't break, so I didn't trade it. I still expected to break even this morning here because I thought that this would probably be an ABC and then price would go down from here back to 117. This was my main analysis. But price actually showed engulfing twins and a failure to break above this weekly fib. So if you were trading it by any chance, this hourly candle was maybe a breakout candle to think about. But there is, of course, Draghi having a speech soon, so that kind of limits maybe the breakout potential. Now, so far, price has dropped from that moment some 24 pips. I'm not sure how much it could fall with the news event close by, but in any case, as I said, trading lower time frames like this 50-minute chart might make the most sense with with news events throughout this week. So the euro dollar has kind of moved away at this moment. I did not trade it. I was already in the euro odd, so I didn't really necessarily see a reason to trade the euro twice. But unless there's some strong trend, I sometimes do that. I did trade the Aussie twice, but that looked pretty good, the Aussie upside, and I thought that would be the trend of that particular segment of today. Luckily, that proved to be true. But the euro odd looked a little bit better to me. Okay, but the euro dollar also moving down. So I was waiting for the break. I would have liked the break maybe to the upside a little bit better to the R1. Instead, it bounced at the weekly pivot point and it broke this trend line. So basically, the space for downside, if we look for the space to the upside, I think there was here and here. Those are good spaces. Downside was a little bit smaller because here we have a bottom, and then we have S1 and then S2. So the space to the downside is a little bit less appealing to me, but was nonetheless still available. So for those that traded it now, the space is too cramped, right? S1 is pretty close by, so I don't think that makes sense personally. And of course, a press conference close by. So if someone traded the breakout here of this support trend line, that still made sense because there was a decent space available. Now there's not much space available compared to where the stop loss would have to be up in here. So the reward to risk ratio there is just not that available on this time frame, at least. Not much available on the hourly time frame. Maybe on a 50-minute chart if there's maybe some bear flag like this. But then anyhow, there's a news event. So it is a bit, not that many options for trading the euro dollar at this moment, I think. But yeah, if you had the breakout here or maybe here, then that's doing well, and grabbing some profit here or a little bit lower at the S1, I think does make sense. I wouldn't aim much further personally. I think that this is already a decent drop. Anyone who traded this might, in my view at least, do well to exit and grab that profit, because that has been a decent breakout so far, and there's not much space left. So either a tight trail or part exit and break even, these kind of combinations, I think, would work the best for the euro dollar. All right, so we're getting an expansion of the downside now. That we're getting an expansion was not something that is surprising to me, because I did say in this morning wave analysis that after upside, I think there would be an expansion of the correction. We just didn't get the break here. Rather than the upside break, we got a downside break. I still think that this zone in here will potentially act as support. So the other thing that I will keep an eye on is bullish candles at 116.50, 116, or even 170. That could still be a bouncing spot. All right, but you can see how important this zone was, right? Resistance here, some good confluence at that zone. So, and you can see that euro dollar indeed reacting to that zone. So that was pretty neat. Now, but then again, I guess not, something, nothing major. I mean, everyone can see it, of course, at bottom and the top, but still nice that, how the market moves and how those levels are used, basically. That's what I want to say. So let's move on. Otherwise, I'm doing fine, Angel. Good to see you. Good to hear you, and hope that you had a good weekend and you expected something with the same with gold. We can take a look at that right now. Let's see. Hope that everyone had a good weekend. I lost my gold chart. Let's see. It should be somewhere. There it is. Alrighty. Gold getting indeed some traction to the downside. I think that this could be an ABC. And this is up. This is correction. So, up would seem likely. Now, how far this up will go is a question mark still. We can put a fib from here to here. Of course, this is long-term trading, so it really also depends a lot on larger factors, geopolitical factors, supply of gold, and I'm not saying that on such a time frame only technicals are needed to analyze, but from a technical point of view, though, I do think that an A, B with the ABC in it, and here the C up to the 272 minus 61 per day target seems likely, maybe even further. Who knows? This could be a large uptrend. But for the moment, a retracement, as we've been talking about, to this bottom in here seems likely indeed. So Angel mentions 1116, which is around the 78.6 fib. And it could easily go there. It doesn't have to go there exactly. It might go a little bit above that. Here also we missed the resistance by a little bit. It could do that too here by a little bit. So I would say this zone is anywhere probably the very, very highest levels here. The lowest level is probably around the 88.6 fib. Most likely, I would expect to bounce around this zone. No. There we go. I think this is the core zone, but the wider zone is this. So there is no divergence. Let's see, between the tops or between the bottoms. Which time frame? Between the bottoms, yes. At this moment, downside correction. We talked about this correction here, and that we're expecting downside. That's what's happening indeed. And so far, no divergence. Correct. So if this falls very steeply and then corrects and then falls, there should be divergence. That also will help with the upside. All right. So 4-hour chart falling pretty fast indeed. Some good flags here, here, and here, and here on gold. Has been a pretty sturdy run at ever since the beginning of last week. I think this is. Let me check. Oh, it was the beginning of this week? Yeah, sorry. No, that was the beginning of last week. Yes, that was last week, sorry. So for the moment, I would say these bearish candles, as they drop, it looks good for continuation. And this could go fast. This could go fast. So, and it's going to get into that zone maybe faster than we think. Right? And then I would be looking for 5 to 6 daily candles that don't break the low, and I would consider going long upon that failure to post a lower low. I would think about it. All right, so pound USD is behaving a bit differently than I expected. I was still thinking that there could be a bounce, but it ended up with a doji that was not a confirmation candle right in here. Another doji there, 2 dojis in a row. It broke through this bottom. All in all, this could still be an ABC, S1 close by. I don't think there's much space to the downside here at all. So to me, it's still at support, even though it's breaking through these trend lines. Why? Because price here could be basically at these fibs. Support fibs, 50 fib, S1, even 61.8. Those could all be turning spots. So I don't think there's much to the downside. Upside, no, there's space, right? There is space, but price action is not confirming it. Price action is choppy and indecisive. So what we need is, or at least what I need is space, right? But also price action that confirms that potential. Otherwise, it's just wishful thinking, right? So at the moment, no downside space. No, there is upside space, but price action is bearish. So I don't see any trade on the pound dollar that looks interesting from my perspective, at least. Now, who knows? The trading is trading. If one takes a short here and it falls right to the 61.8 and you have a target there, it could be a winner. If one enters here but puts a target maybe same spot, but price hits S1 and it flies up, it could be a loss. I don't. My point is that I don't see any particular advantage of trading it here. That's my point. But a trade could always work out. The thing is that, in my view, it's better to wait for a spot where price gives us traders, retail traders, an edge. Even though maybe it's slight, now I don't see any particular edge to trade in either direction. So I think sidelines is the best for this one. Dollar yen is a little bit different because dollar yen has actually a breakout candle right there, and it did show an ABC, and like this. All right, so that could have been a good potential signal there. I was thinking about I'm still in this dollar yen from last week actually. Based on a signal here, and was holding on to that trade. I had this trail stop loss basically, and breaking up. So that's good. Was considering adding on just before our webinar, and had some hesitations. I just hesitated with regard to the low volatility of today, and I think that it could be okay, but ultimately didn't do it. I don't know, just some hesitation maybe with the news, and I don't know. It just rather waited. But that could also be because I'm still in the trade, so I don't have maybe that much kind of motivation to add if I'm doubting. The market seemed a little bit. I mean, this was a pretty good candle, not bad at all. It's showing quite a lot of hesitation in general with regard to the candles. So that was one of the factors that was in my mind. But all in all, this was not necessarily a bad candle. If it would have been a small candle, I would have definitely skipped it. Now, it was a decent sized candle, which made me doubt a little bit, but ultimately maybe not big enough for me to take it. What was the size? Yeah, it was, it's actually only 15 pips. Hourly chart is not that much. I mean, if you compare it to these candles, it's pretty big, but a 15-pip candle is not that great either. What I really wanted to see was a volatility candle to show that there is some movement expectation that makes it interesting to trade. That was what I wanted basically in the back of my mind, what I was thinking about. And this candle looked like it, but if you measure it, it's not that grand either. So kind of a little bit hesitant with this swing trade. I mean, maybe on the lower, maybe best would have been on a lower time frame, like a 50-minute chart here, continuation, kind of a small time frame trade with an hour or two. That could have maybe made sense somewhere in here, but that's behind us. Anyhow, it's behind us. So Aussie. Now, despite the fact, I mean, Aussie made a correction upwards, doesn't mean that it's necessarily bullish. I was expecting a bigger Aussie weak strength. One of the reasons why I liked Euro odd downside, odd yen upside, because dollar yen was an uptrend, and odd USD looked like it was gaining strength with this momentum like this, and it did. So I like the odd yen and Euro odd a bit more, but odd USD would have been a pretty good choice too. Upside correction, upside. Now at this moment, and if you put a fib on it, you can see right up to the minus 61.8 target was a good bouncing spot. And that could have been worth trading to the downside too, perhaps, but maybe not that attractive because of the Aussie strength here. In any case, I think that this could still be a hook back, but I would probably keep an eye on today's daily candle. All right. So that's basically what I think makes the most sense, because if this is a bullish candle, then this is not looking like a pullback. If there's a big wick, I will look at the lower time frames tomorrow and would think about maybe trading some short as this wick maybe gets retraced, for instance. It depends. I would like to look at will depend a little bit on the lower time frames too. But for the moment, I think a daily candle would need to show some rejection here. Otherwise, it really doesn't look that good as a pullback. All right. Kiwi has been quite choppy recently, and with recently I mean like for 6 months, right? Because the range is between 68 and 75-ish, which might seem like a lot, but the price has really been bouncing in between those levels for all those months. And it's really struggling to break through the support. Now it's actually trying to break through resistance. And depending on how you look at it, it already did that, in fact. Kiwi is looking more bullish. There are 5 waves up. So ABC and up it can go, I think. Kiwi looking more bullish, but not right now at this moment. I think correction is more likely at this point. But we'll keep an eye on how this corrects. If it's an ABC like this, and price is bouncing off a minus 27 on a minus 61.8 target, that could be a good bouncing spot. Putting a fib on this swing might make sense. And looking at support around 5061.8 fib. All right. Skip the dollar cat, although this formation looks bullish, but it's right at resistance, so that was maybe a bit hesitant. let's see. I see a chart from Angel, and Flavius says that the same is valid for pound dollar and pound yen. We'll take a look at pound yen and euro yen right now, actually. Let's see. I'm not sure. Looking okay, I guess, Angel. I'm not sure where your stop loss is, but you can always use these fractals, these highs. For the moment, this is looking like a pretty good candle. So even if this candle closes, even the candle high could make sense. All right, so that could be a good trail stop. As this, for the moment, it's in a good momentum. So that's good, but could still make sense to catch the momentum without wanting to kind of live through a big retracement. All right, euro yen and pound yen. Let's see. Well, wasn't a big fan of euro yen. Just pretty much so stuck and corrective that didn't seem that appealing to me. Um, it was actually making a little bit of a bull flag, but we never got the break. To the upside, at least, we got a break, but looks like to the downside at this moment. Still, not a big fan of it. Pound yen. I think also a bit tricky formation is basically showing kind of an ABC correction, and it looks like it's responding to the support. Dollar yen is moving up, pound dollar is a bit uncertain, so pound yen is struggling too, as you can see. And I don't know at this moment. I mean, it could easily make a dip down, could be a bouncing spot, it could have a breakout candle to the upside, maybe retest this resistance. It doesn't really inspire me for any particular trades right now or in the near future at this moment. A lot of indecision. This is what I was trading. The euro odd was took a short in here, as basically this looked like an A, this was an ABC for B, and I was expecting a C down. We had a failure here, and it seemed that price was below this support. So that looked like a breakout for wave C. This looked like very much like an ABC, which confirmed the B. Looked to confirm the B, so looked good for downside. I like that one. As a reversal, I'm not a big fan of reversal trades, but this one made sense to me. Now it's at the target or close to the target. I had partly target here and a part target lower at this bottom. Right here. All right. Euro New Zealand also made an ABC a bit earlier than the euro odd. Didn't catch this one. Pound odd also still was considering a short here. Thought that maybe more likely better to wait for B. It never happened though, and it did crash. So missed that one. But ultimately, I think it could still be an ABC if it gets a bounce here. That could still happen. Same thing for the pound New Zealand. I think we still need a lower high. So there's always that risk that price could retrace to get a lower high and then move down again. And that is, something that could happen on pound and pound New Zealand. Could still happen. All right, S&P 500. We had a trend line like this, indicating the breakout last week. I think we discussed. Yes, and price broke, hooked back, and continued. So that was a good breakout there from 2630 to 2660. And again, a new higher high. So that was something we discussed there in continuation for the moment on S&P 500. Dow Jones, same thing. DAX had an upside break too, but making now a new bull flag, potential bull flag at least. Silver also falling. Pretty low volatility on this one for these time frames at least. But getting back to support, so let's see. Could be bouncing spot for silver. All right, otherwise, let's scroll a little bit further down this list. Right, Amazon broke to the downside, but the breakout has been quite mild so far. Facebook also made a rally, but struggling a little bit here. Google seems to be going back in this channel, so maybe better to correct this channel a little bit like this. There we go. Alrighty, so yeah, price made it into this zone as support zone, bounced there. So that bounce has been doing pretty well relatively to the others. Around 1,000 psychological level. I think we talked about that. If I remember correctly, too, in this zone, to get a bounce has been a pretty decent rally up to 1,055-ish. Now approaching another resistance zone, so that does not look very good right now because the resistance is so close by. That could be either take profit or just hope that it breaks or price goes sideways and then breaks. But that is a resistance spot. Alrighty. That's what I wanted to share. Now, are there any questions from your side? Anything you would like to review? Let me know. Otherwise, please note that here, check education, click on Forex and CFD webinars, and check out tomorrow's webinars, real-time trading ideas in the morning, Nenet live trading session around 1:45 p.m. GMT time. I myself 3:30 with looking at chart spaces within the market structure 1 hour after Nenet finishes. And Thursday, we're going to take a look at learn how to counter trend. My dollar yen target is aimed at 114 and 115. 114 basically because of this resistance. I think probably is the most logical resistance target really. 114. 115 would be if there's a small breakout. With regard to right now, I don't see anything particular interesting at this moment. Let me double check. I might be interested in dollar yen, but not right now. Aussie, I'll keep an eye on this daily candle. Kiwi, I'll keep an eye on how this price corrects. Could be good for upside after that. Pound odd and pound New Zealand, depending on how this corrects to the upside, might could be good for more downside. That's about it, I think, at this moment. All right, so that's my 2 cents. I don't see any particular trade for lower time frames at this moment. But for high time frames, there could be some things to keep an eye on. Pound odd, pound New Zealand, primarily. Kiwi, Aussie, dollar yen, your dollar, pound dollar too, of course, but probably to the upside for me. If it bounces at the 50 fib here and the S1, bullish candlestick pattern perhaps in the support zone. And but targeting nothing special because this could really go sideways for tomorrow and until Thursday's decision with the pound, interest rate with the Bank of England. So yeah, euro and pound could be a bit slow. So once again, maybe looking for lower time frame trades could make sense. I don't see anything particular now, but for tomorrow that might make sense. All right. So that's it for today. We'll take a look again tomorrow, see if there's anything new. Same time, same place. Wish you all great trading. Make sure, once again, chart space, very important here on the pound odd, pound New Zealand. I don't think there's much space to the downside, a little bit. All right. So chart space is one thing important. Then there's more space maybe to the upside as price could retest resistance like here and maybe here. But for the moment, we're not having any kind of confirmation of a bullish candle formation, right? So any bounce here could, bullish candle here could indicate something like this, for instance. Bullish candles, bull flag could indicate another upside to retest some of these levels, like these fibs and this resistance level. All right, and there could be a three-wave move up like this, for instance, and then maybe more downside. I think overall it does look bearish. It's just a little bit of correction before downside seems likely at this moment. All right, so there's space to the upside, but I don't think anything confirming that right now. So space, decision zones, trend, and patterns. Very important to connect like that and see if there's anything interesting. Like today, for instance, the odd yen. Wait, where is it? Here we go. So to me, that looked good because of the fact that there was bullish momentum and there was a correction like this. Aussie looked strong at that moment. Yen looked weak, and I took the trade right in here. And soon after that, we got this candle right here. That's when I moved the stop loss just below this candle. I knew that this was a breakout candle or it was a failure. So I just reduced the risk already at that point to a few pips loss. And indeed, we got a sturdy series of candles to the upside. That's what I was looking for with the entry here, because we had support fractals already at the moving averages. We were in an uptrend, and price was making a retracement. And it was, from my point of view, ready for breakout at this point. And that happened indeed 2 hours. So it's combining a couple of things. It's combining momentum, trend, it's combining patterns, corrective pattern here. It's combining space because resistance was up in here, so there was plenty of space to that. So that's how you can, try to put these pieces of the puzzle together. All right, so I'm going to push off now. Wish you good trading. Hope to see you tomorrow and Thursday, and see you soon. Cheers.